Have any of you gone to Maya Bazaar, Road of Utopia? You did? Okay. So we have Veena Kulkarni. She's the founder, Road to Utopia. And today's session by her will be Voices Unheard, a monologue on LGBTQ realities. Over to you.
Thank you. I mean, we're few of us, so I think it's okay. Okay, okay, okay. So I shouldn't say anything controversial. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hi. My name is Veena. Thank you very much for that introduction. Maya Bazaar is, I mean, if any of you have been there, it's a festival. It's a 2-day festival, which we started as from LGBTQIA to the world. Are you okay? Okay. Yeah. So let me start off by saying I'm queer. I think that helps set the context a little bit. I'm not. I mean, you can say lesbian, you can say gay, you can say queer, you can say bisexual, you can say gender fluid, gender queer. Any of these will look at me. I mean, there's not much I can take away from anything that you call me. So that's, I think, to quickly give you a context, that's where I come from. I come from the community. What we do now, coming to Maya Bazaar, is it's a 2-day festival which we started as from LGBTQIA to the world. It's a lot of rainbows and a lot of colors for 2 days festivities. A place like you maybe have never been to before. Of course, this is also a place like you've never been to before. But I think that's the uniqueness of every space. But I specifically, since I've been, I feel like I'm one of the few people who have the privilege of coming out to a bunch of people like this with a mic in my hand. And I have the privilege of doing this when it's being live streamed. Someone who can call themselves queer out in the open. I think I'd like to talk a little bit about friendships. I'd like to talk about community. I'd like to talk about a little bit about women friendships, and I think something that that I think in some way it'll help us turn the whole world around. Is what is my hope. I am as an individual, I am an optimist, and I do feel like I want to see big change in my lifetime. My lifetime's still very less. I'm about 45, so my lifetime's going to be shorter than a lot of yours. But I do hope that we see big change, and I individually would like to work towards that. I find myself in spaces that are not very easy to navigate. I think I'm a magnet for trouble, and that's because there are some controversial things that, again, my privilege affords me to talk about. So that's where I feel like one of the things that we don't talk about a lot is friendships, camaraderie, understanding and belonging amongst women. If you notice, there are times that, how do you call it, great business decisions and sometimes wars are decided in a room full of men, where we get very little say. And I'm sure we don't want the world to be that way, right? So we want the world to run on perhaps compassion, some amount of kindness, and that's my, if you want to call it, personal journey. Again, the reason I'm here is because I have the privilege to talk about it openly. It's not easy for someone from my community to come out and say that we are queer. It's a lot of stigma. So if you have any questions about being queer, please feel free to ask me. I may not be representing the whole of the queer community, but I have my lived experience to talk about. So please, I don't mind being interrupted. Raise your hand, ask me, how do women do it? I don't think I'll say it on camera, but I don't mind. I don't mind educating a little bit as well. I am a teacher by profession, so please do feel free to interrupt me whenever you feel like. So the reason I felt like talking about friendships also was because one of the things that I hear a lot is women don't stand up for each other. I hear a lot that women generally end up being the strongest opposition to women, right? And let me tell you, that's not true, to start off with. That's not true. I teach, when I say grassroots work, let me quickly give you an example. I teach gender inclusion with the Karnataka police, right, for instance. And when we stand in front of a group of people who are wearing uniforms and who are the first respondents for law and order, and then when we say research has shown over a period of time that women wearing uniform and standing on the streets forms for a way kinder community, the society is a lot more safer for everyone. People don't believe us. They say, if anyone understands Kannada, how many of you understand Kannada? They say, Madam, women shatru. Means women are the worst enemies of women, madam. What can we do to change that? So I have heard this a lot, and I scratch my hair a lot to understand how do I try and tell them that somewhere this research is true, because I work also with the Restaurant Association. And you know what the Restaurant Association is telling us right now? That bouncers being women is a lot more helpful than men bouncers. Because again, security is way, way easier handled by women than men. Can you, in any way in your mind, wrap your head around that and understand why that would be? The most aggressive man in the world will behave properly in front of his mother. Yes? That's what women do. Women portray kindness. Women portray compassion. And what women do is we stand there and we say, you know what? This is who I am. I'm vulnerable. But if I open my eyes and look at you and I don't want you to do what you're doing, I know that you will not. That's all. That's pretty much what it takes. Research has been showing that. So what did I do with the police? We thought a lot. Of course, we're two women who are running this show, right? Of course, they send women to talk about gender equity, because the moment we say gender equity, it's all about women. You know, men don't have a gender. They come genderless. I'm sorry if I'm being a little bitchy. So what we did was we tried to get to the bottom of this problem. How is it, why is it that the world says women are the biggest enemies of women? Why does that happen? And then I figured out the next question that I should ask him is that, do men not fight against each other? And then he says, yes, they do. Are there more men who fight with each other than women would fight with each other? Well, I don't think so. Do more men fight with each other than more women fight with each other? Yes. Why? Because the number of men are more. And then we had to come down to telling them that men, unfortunately, do fight with each other. We've had 2 world wars, perhaps the 3rd World War, where men just could not put their egos aside, right, and talk to each other amicably and say, you know what, how much ever we fight, we don't want to hurt each other. That's what women say, right? That's the difference. And that is why it's important for us to band together. That is why it's important for women and everyone who's not a man. I don't mean you, sir, alone sitting there, but I really appreciate that you're sitting here with us. But I don't mean you per se. I don't mean the men per se. What we're fighting is a sense of patriarchy. What we're fighting is, or what we have to stand up against. Let's not even call it fighting. Fighting is too violent a word, let's say. What we are vulnerable against is patriarchy. What we feel vulnerable against is insecurity. We come from a place of scarcity, whether we like it or not. From childhood, we have been conditioned to watch out for the woman. Either she'll take away your property or she'll take away your man, yes. In my case, you know, I don't have that particular problem. But my point is that, right? Um, what we're fighting is a sense of oppression. What we're fighting is against oppression of voices not being heard. What we're fighting against is a conditioned understanding of how all of us are raised and how we need to shed those at some point to feel like, you know what, maybe you and I don't smoke, but let's put our hands around each other and go and have an amicable conversation and bloody sign deals, you know, sign big deals where we could perhaps send a rocket to, you know, to Mars, find life there, make friends with them, not leave a lot of debris behind us, right? Because space debris is also something that we have to fight about. And this is where, and here's the thing, when we even talk about, for instance, all of the pay parity and all of that we talk about, and men talk about, oh my God, it's so difficult to bring women into organizations. You know why? Because they ask for a bathroom. I mean, come on, right? That's where it started from. And that's what we're fighting on a daily basis. Okay, again, let me not call it fighting. Let's call it standing up against, right? So I've been given a 5-minute warning, so I'll stop with, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, it's not a warning. It's a heads up. Okay, so I'm very cognizant of the time, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will leave you with this thought. Our mothers have taken care of us, have taken care of finances in the house. They've taken care of all of their children together. And once the mother leaves the house does break up. That's how we need to. I think, in spite of being genderqueer, I do find it hard to call myself a woman sometimes, but I carry it for political reasons. And I think we are super strong. And if we do band together, hold our hands together, I think we can turn the world around on its head and make it a lot more kinder and compassionate. And that's my time. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Great session. Thank you. Thank you. Great session. Thanks, Veena. Yeah. Veena is still here, and Maya Bazar wrote to